The second lesson that you need to have prepared by Monday, the 18th, is arithmetic sequences. Now, arithmetic sequences are also known as linear sequences, which is probably the term that you're a little bit more aware of at this point. They're both exactly the same thing. Effectively, what it means is that the first differences of the sequence are equal. So when you're given a sequence and you have to either determine the nth term or a certain term in the sequence or the position of a certain term given the value, you first have to work out the first differences. If the first differences are equal, you stop there. It's linear and we can apply the arithmetic formula. If the first differences are not equal, you work out second differences. And if the second differences are equal, we then know it's quadratic. Alright, so given the sequence 5, 1, -3, -7, and so on, A, determine the nth term, B, determine the 15th term, and C, which term has a value of -111. Alright, so the first thing we do is to see what the constant difference is, okay? So to do that, we say term 2 minus term 1. So 1 minus 5 gives us -4. Alright, and then we say term 3 minus term 2. So minus 3 minus 1 is also -4. And then just to check that we're still getting -4, we're going to say -7 minus -3. That's -7 plus 3, which is also -4. So because the first differences are constant, that means that this is an arithmetic sequence. And so we're going to use this formula, Tn equals A plus n minus 1 into D. If you have been using the formula Tn equals Bn plus C, which is on page 4 of your textbook, we're not going to use that formula anymore. We're going to only use this formula, A plus n minus 1 into D. Alright, where A is the first term and n is the position and D is the constant difference. Right, so we can substitute the values in that we have now. So in this example, we have the first term is 5. N minus 1, we leave the variable n because we're solving for the general term. So our answer must be in terms of n. And the difference is -4. Okay, the constant difference. Now notice I'm putting the -4 in a bracket because we have to remember that that -4 is being multiplied or distributed into the n minus 1 bracket. Alright, so we can simplify this now. So Tn equals 5, and then we distribute the -4, so we get minus 4n. Minus 1 times minus 4 is positive 4. Alright, simplify that further, and we get 5 plus 4 is 9 minus 4n. Alright, and again, it's probably worth it just to check it. So 9 minus 4n, let's check it with the fourth term. We should get -7. So if n is 4, then we say 9 minus 4 times 4, which is 9 minus 16, and that does give us -7. Alright, question B. They ask us to determine the 15th term. That is when they've given us the position, so they've given us n, and we now need to work out what the value of the 15th term. So therefore the 15th term, Tn, is equal to 9 minus 4 times 15. And then that you just put on your calculator to get -51. Okay, question C. Which term has a value of -111? Alright, so this time they've given you the value. So instead of saying T -111, that is the whole value of Tn. So -111 equals 9 minus 4n. Okay, and we just have to solve for n now. We're solving for the position. The clue that you're solving for the position is when they use the word which. Alright, so take over the 9. So minus 111 minus 9 is minus 120. And that equals -4n. And then you divide both sides by the -4. So -120 divided by -4. And we get n equals 30. Right, so the 30th term has a value of -111. Right, example 2. Given the arithmetic sequence x, 2x plus 4, and 5x plus 10, determine x and hence the general term. Alright, now here they've told us that it's arithmetic, and that's because there's a variable. the moment there's a variable, we need to know what the relationship between the sequence is before we can work with it, because we don't know what that variable is. So at this point, we don't actually know what the values of each of these terms are, other than being in terms of x. So because they've told us that it's arithmetic, we know that this is the first term, this is the second term, and that's the third term. Okay, so we're going to do the first differences, right? I'm just going to copy the sequence again and now do the second differences, so the first differences. So 2 minus 1 will be 2x plus 4 minus x, okay, term 2 minus term 1. And then term 3 minus term 2 will be 5x plus 10 minus 2x plus 4. All right, and then simplify both of those. So if we simplify this bracket, these two brackets, we end up with x plus 4. All right, 2x minus x is x, and then the plus 4. And then if we simplify these two brackets, we have 5x minus 2x is 3x, and 10 minus 4 is 6. Okay, so these are our first differences. But because they've told us it's arithmetic, that means these first differences have to be equal. All right, they're the same. So we can solve that as an equation. All right, so take over the 3x. X minus 3x is negative 2x. Take over the 4 to the right-hand side. 6 minus 4 is 2. Therefore, x equals negative 1. All right, so now they want us to determine, hence, the general term. So we're going to rewrite this sequence now, instead of in terms of x, with the actual value. So if we look at term 1 is x. So that means term 1 has to be negative 1. All right, term 2 is 2x plus 4. So if x is negative 1, then 2 times negative 1 is negative 2, plus 4 is positive 2. And then for term 3, if x is negative 1, then 5 times negative 1 is negative 5, plus 10 is positive 5. All right, so they're the first three values of the term. And from that, we can actually see now what the general difference is. And you could have actually worked out what the difference is from this step as well, just by substituting x back into there. So if we substituted x back into this step, we would get negative 1 plus 4, which is positive 3. And in this one, 3 times negative 1 is negative 3, plus 6 is also positive 3. Okay, but if we do it from our numbers here, then term 2 minus term 1, so 2 minus negative 1 is 2 plus 1, which is 3. And then 5 minus 2 is also 3. All right, so you now have enough information to work out the general term. So the general term, remember, is Tn for an arithmetic sequence is a plus n minus 1 into d. Okay, so the first term we've worked out is negative 1 plus n minus 1 into the difference, which is positive 3. All right, now multiply that out, and we get minus 1 plus 3n minus 3. So Tn is equal to 3n minus 4. And then that's the general term. And in the same way, we could work out what is the 10th term, or they could ask you which term in the sequence is equal to a particular value, and then we substitute that into the formula the same as we did in example 1. All right. Now what I'd like you to do, please, in time for Monday, or in preparation for Monday's lesson, is turn to page 7 in your textbook, and you will see exercise 1.2. And I'd like you to do the following, please. All right, A and B, please do the left column. So that's 1 and 3 for A, 1, 3, and 5 for B. And then please do C, 2, and 4, and E, G, and H. All right, so all of E, all of G, and H as well, please.